Did you know there's a flower that looks like a monkey's face? Or one that smells like hot chocolate? Orchids are not just elegant. They are true enigmas of nature. In this video, I'll take you on a mind-blowing journey through the 15 most beautiful and curious orchids on the planet. I promise that after watching this, you'll never look at a flower the same way again. Get ready to be amazed. Number 1. Monkey Orchid, Dracula simia. Deep within the cloud forests of Ecuador and Peru, hidden among the dampness and shadows of the trees, lives a flower that seems plucked from a strange dream, or from nature's own experiment, the monkey orchid. Its scientific name, Dracula simia, already hints at the mystery. Dracula for the shape of its petals, which resemble the fangs of a vampire. And simia, because when you look at the flower straight on, you can clearly see the face of a monkey. It isn't an illusion or a trick of imagination. It has eyes, a nose, a mouth, and an expression as striking as it is uncanny. This orchid is one of the strangest and most fascinating species in the plant kingdom. It doesn't grow just anywhere, nor is it easy to find. It prefers high-altitude regions, between 1,000 and 2,000 meters above sea level, where the constant fog and cool air create the perfect microclimate for its existence. And it's not just beautiful, it's aromatic. Its natural fragrance resembles the sweet scent of ripe oranges, making it even more unique. But there's something else that makes it special: its rarity. The monkey orchid blooms unpredictably, and often only under very specific conditions, which means that finding one in full bloom is considered almost a miraculous event for botanists and flower lovers alike. This incredible design was not made by an artist, but by millions of years of evolution, perhaps to attract pollinators, or maybe just as one of nature's whims. But one thing is certain: among all the orchids in the world, Dracula simia takes first place in terms of rarity, beauty, and mystery. Number 2. Bee Orchid, Ophrys apifera. In the sunny meadows of Europe and North Africa grows a flower that has mastered the art of deception better than any movie spy. It's the bee orchid, known scientifically as Ophrys apifera. At first glance, it might look like just another wildflower among the grass, but when you look closer, it reveals its most astonishing secret. Its main petal perfectly imitates the body of a female bee. And it's not just a vague resemblance. This orchid mimics the color, the tiny hairs, and even the distinctive sheen of a bee's abdomen. But the most impressive part is that it also produces pheromones almost identical to those of a real female bee. The goal? To fool the males, and it works with astonishing precision. When a male bumblebee picks up on this visual and chemical signal, he eagerly lands on the flower, convinced he has found a willing mate. During this failed mating attempt, what scientists call pseudo-copulation, the insect gets dusted with the flower's pollen. As he flies off and repeats the same act with another Ophrys apifera, he unknowingly fulfills the orchid's mission of pollination. It's a masterstroke of evolution. The flower doesn't need to produce nectar or compete with other plants that do. It just needs to look enough like a bee to trick another. This sophisticated strategy of botanical seduction has fascinated scientists for decades, and it remains one of the most extraordinary examples of mimicry and manipulation in the plant world. In the realm of orchids, beauty isn't just appearance, it's strategy, it's survival, and in this case, it's pure cunning. Number 3. Venus slipper orchid, Paphiopedilum species. In the damp, shadowy corners of Asia and the Americas, blooms an orchid that looks like it was designed by a whimsical and elegant mind. Its unmistakable shape resembles a princess's slipper or dainty shoe. That's why it's known as the Venus slipper orchid, and its scientific name, Paphiopedilum, evokes the ancient goddesses of love and beauty. But behind its charming appearance hides a brilliant strategy. This flower doesn't just want to look pretty, it has a plan. Its structure is designed as a natural trap. The lower petal forms a slippery pouch that lures unsuspecting insects. Once they fall inside, they can't get out the same way they came in. In their frantic attempt to escape, the insects search for an exit. And that's when the orchid plays its master move. The only way out is through a narrow passage that forces the insect to brush against the flower's pollen-coated anthers. In this way, the insect leaves carrying the plant's genetic material. When it repeats the process with another Venus slipper, it completes pollination without even realizing it. This sophisticated mechanism doesn't need bright colors or sweet nectar. It only requires design and patience. In nature, where nothing is wasted and everything has a purpose, this orchid proves that beauty can also be a very effective trap. There are dozens of Paphiopedilum varieties, each with such different patterns and colors, they seem crafted by different artists. Some are spotted, others striped, and some even shimmer with a metallic glow. They are living jewels, treasured by collectors and botanists all around the world. The Venus slipper orchid doesn't just enchant, it captures. And it does so with the elegance of a flower that knows very well the power it holds. Number 4. Flying Duck Orchid, Calliana major. In the mysterious landscapes of Australia, where the wildlife often looks as though it comes from another planet, blooms an orchid that defies visual logic, the flying duck orchid. Its scientific name is Calliana major, but those who see it for the first time are often left speechless. Because yes, the flower really looks like a tiny duck in mid-flight, with wings outstretched and a long beak. This isn't a coincidence. The flower's shape has evolved with remarkable precision to attract a specific type of pollinator, male wasps. But not just any wasp can trigger it. Only certain species have the right weight and behavior to activate the orchid's secret mechanism. When a wasp lands on the flower, tricked by its appearance and pheromones into thinking it's a female, the orchid springs into action. The beak that forms part of its labellum snaps shut, trapping the insect inside for a few seconds. During that time, the flower coats the wasp with pollen, securing its reproduction. Then, the orchid reopens and releases its pollinator, who will likely repeat the same process with another Calliana major, never suspecting a thing. The most fascinating part is that this complex mechanism doesn't react to just any touch. It's calibrated so precisely that if the insect doesn't have the exact weight or doesn't move in just the right way, nothing happens. It's like a natural lock that only responds to the right key. In the plant world, few flowers combine beauty, sculptural form, and such a sophisticated trap. The flying duck orchid amazes not only for its animal-like resemblance, but for the evolutionary intelligence hidden in each of its tiny snares. 5. Dove orchid, Peristeria elata. In the warm, humid heart of the Panamanian jungle blooms one of the most sacred and moving orchids in the world. Its name is Peristeria elata, but it's better known as the dove orchid, or, with an even more evocative title, the flower of the Holy Spirit. At first glance, it seems like a simple white flower with soft petals and a sweet fragrance, but just look inside and wonder reveals itself. In the very center of the bloom, as if sculpted by invisible hands, appears the figure of a tiny white dove. Folded wings, bowed head, serene body. The silhouette is so precise that there is no room for doubt. That is why, in its native country of Panama, this orchid is a symbol of peace, purity, and devotion. In fact, it was declared the national flower for representing the spirituality and natural wealth of the region. But beyond its beauty, Peristeria elata holds secrets that fascinate scientists and flower lovers alike. It is an extremely delicate orchid, blooming only under very specific conditions of humidity, shade, and temperature. Its fragrance evokes incense, reinforcing the impression that one is in the presence of a celestial flower. Its name, Peristeria, comes from the Greek peristeri, meaning dove. And it's no coincidence. Since ancient times, the people who lived in these lands regarded it as a messenger of the gods, a flower that brought blessings and harmony. However, its beauty has also been its curse. For years, it was harvested excessively, pushing it to the brink of extinction in the wild. Today, thanks to conservation efforts, it still blooms as a white whisper among the jungle leaves. 6. Tiger orchid, Maxillaria tenuifolia. In the warm lands of Central America, among lianas, ferns, and rainforest shadows, blooms an orchid that seduces not by its appearance, but by its irresistible scent. It is called Maxillaria tenuifolia, though many know it simply as the tiger orchid. Its fragrance is so intense and delicious that those who smell it for the first time are convinced they're standing before a dessert. It smells exactly like coconut. It's not a faint aromatic whisper, it's a tropical explosion. Approach its flowers, and the air fills with a perfume that recalls toasted coconut, as if someone had just opened a bottle of coconut oil, or prepared a Caribbean sweet deep in the jungle. That's why this orchid is one of the most sought after by collectors and gardeners who love aromatic plants. But its scent is not its only peculiarity. Its flowers, deep red or burgundy brown, are covered with small, irregular spots that mimic the pattern of a wild feline. Hence its nickname, tiger orchid. It's as if nature had tried to blend the exoticism of the jungle with the playful spirit of perfume. What's more, this orchid is not especially demanding. It can grow in pots, on tree trunks, or hanging from branches, and it blooms easily if given enough humidity and partial shade. The most surprising part is that, when it does, it can produce dozens of small flowers, each one loaded with fragrance. Unlike many orchids that dazzle with extravagant shapes, Maxillaria tenuifolia conquers through the nose. It's a flower remembered more for the pleasure it awakens than for how it looks. And in the plant kingdom, that's saying a lot. 7. Ghost orchid, Dendrophylax lindeni. In the quiet swamps of Cuba and southern Florida, where mist clings to branches and the air is heavy like a held breath, blooms an orchid that seems straight out of legend. Its name is Dendrophylax lindeni, but everyone knows it as the ghost orchid. And it's not just because of its rarity, it's because it literally seems to float in the air, like a white spirit gliding among the trees. This orchid has no visible leaves. It lives attached to tree trunks, fully blended with its surroundings. Its green, formless body melts into the moss, the bark, the forest. Only when it blooms does it reveal its true magic. A delicate white flower, with long twisted petals like flames or ethereal arms. And the most striking detail, the stem holding it is so thin and translucent that it disappears from view at a distance. The result? A flower suspended in air, floating like a silent specter. But seeing it is no easy feat. The ghost orchid blooms only a few times a year, and only under very specific conditions of humidity, temperature, and light. Even the most experienced botanists consider it a privilege to witness one in full bloom. It is a protected species, elusive and almost magical, that has become a symbol of the hidden flora of the tropics. Some local cultures believe its appearance brings messages from the beyond or special omens. Others simply admire it for what it is, a botanical jewel as perfect as it is mysterious, living between the real and the spiritual. 8. Bat flower, Takachantrieri. In the shadowy corners of Southeast Asia's tropical forests grows a flower so strange, so out of the ordinary, that many people swear it must be an orchid. It is Takachantrieri, better known as the bat flower. And although it technically doesn't belong to the orchid family, its appearance and mystery have earned it a place among the most fascinating flowers in the world. Picture a flower that looks like it was designed by nature to star in a Gothic film. Its petals, a deep purple so dark they are nearly black, spread out like wings, imitating a bat in flight. From the center of the bloom, dangle long filaments resembling whiskers or antennae, some stretching over 25 centimeters, as if the flower were reaching out in every direction. It's not only its shape that astounds, but the aura around it. The bat flower thrives in moist, dimly lit places where sunlight barely filters through the foliage. It appears among shadows, as if carefully choosing the perfect stage for a dramatic entrance. And when it does, ignoring it is impossible. For years, many have mistaken it for an exotic orchid because of its unusual structure, striking symmetry, and deep color. But it belongs to an entirely different family, the Takeaceae. Still, that takes nothing away from its mystery or beauty. Takachantrieri doesn't just defy our expectations of what a flower should look like. It reminds us that nature is a master of the unusual, And, in its strangeness, there is something hauntingly beautiful. 9. Blue orchid, Vanda coerulea. In the lush landscapes of Southeast Asia, where jungles are drenched in green and the air hums with life, blooms an orchid that breaks all the rules of color. Its name is Vanda coerulea, but it is known worldwide as the blue orchid, and it's not the result of dye or genetic engineering. This floral jewel displays a natural blue so pure and vibrant it seems pulled from a dream. In the plant world, true blue is a rarity. Very few species can produce it without human interference. That's why when a flower like this appears, it doesn't just attract attention, it becomes legend. The petals of Vanda coerulea are patterned with hypnotic lines and darker veins that contrast with their sky blue background, giving them an almost iridescent appearance. It's as if each flower held a fragment of the heavens within itself. But its beauty isn't only visual. This orchid is hardy, robust, and capable of blooming several times a year when cultivated with care. That's why it has become one of the most coveted by high-end florists and botanical garden designers worldwide. To own a Vanda coerulea is not just to have a flower, it is to possess a living work of art. In countries like Thailand and India, where it grows wild, this orchid is a symbol of elegance, spirituality, and harmony. Some traditions even attribute to it energetic and healing properties, considering it a flower that lifts the spirit and purifies the environment. When nature decides to paint in blue, it does so with mastery. And in the case of the blue orchid, that brushstroke becomes unforgettable. 10. Snake orchid, Bulbophyllum phalaenopsis. In the humid forests of New Guinea, where biodiversity reaches almost unimaginable levels, blooms an orchid that shatters every notion of what we think a flower should be. Its name is Bulbophyllum phalaenopsis, but many simply call it the snake orchid. And that's not because of its shape, but because of the unsettling effect it provokes in those who approach it. Unlike traditional orchids that seduce with sweet or exotic fragrances, this flower plays a completely different card. It smells like rotting flesh. Yes, its scent recalls that of a dead animal under the sun, and it's so strong it can be detected from several meters away. The reason? Pure strategy. Bulbophyllum phalaenopsis has evolved to attract a very specific audience: carrion flies. These insects, which normally feed and lay eggs in decomposing bodies, are irresistibly lured by the stench of the flower. When they land on it, searching for food or a place to lay their larvae, they become covered in pollen, which they then carry to another bloom. And if the smell weren't enough to disturb, its appearance also challenges convention. The flowers are a dark purple color, with blotches and textures that resemble the skin of a decaying animal. Even the petals are twisted and rippled, giving the impression of movement, as if they were alive. Hence its nickname, snake orchid. This macabre disguise makes it one of the most striking species in the plant world. Repulsive and fascinating at the same time, it is a flower that does not seek to please humans, but fulfills its evolutionary mission with ruthless precision. 11. Butterfly orchid, Psychopsis papilio. In the misty rainforests of Central and South America, where light filters through the treetops like a golden veil, blooms a flower that seems not to belong to this world. Its name is Psychopsis papilio, but many know it as the butterfly orchid, or even the duck orchid. And that's because its shape is as ambiguous as it is hypnotic. Some see in it a duck in flight, while others swear it's a butterfly flapping its wings. Its long, curling petals, painted in golden, reddish, and brown tones, spread out like wings in motion. The upper part of the flower arches like the head of a bird, while its base, decorated with vibrant patterns and spots, resembles a winged body hovering in mid-air. This optical illusion is not only beautiful, but functional. The flower attracts pollinators by simulating movement, even when the air is still. But what truly impresses about Psychopsis papilio is its ability to bloom endlessly. Unlike many orchids that reveal their splendor only in certain seasons, this marvel can produce flowers continuously, one after another, for years. From a single stem, each bloom emerges like an act of magic, keeping the illusion alive for months or even more than a decade. This talent for constancy has made it a favorite among collectors and growers, not just for its exotic beauty, but for the joy of watching it bloom again and again, as if it never tires of showing itself to the world. In the orchid world, Psychopsis papilio is a symbol of persistent elegance and constant transformation. 12. Spider orchid, Brassia species. In the damp depths of the tropical forests of the Americas, where everything seems both wild and precise, blooms an orchid that has taken the art of disguise to the extreme. Its name is Brassia, though it is better known as the spider orchid, and when you see it, there's no doubt. Its long, slender petals stretch out like articulated legs, mimicking with astonishing accuracy a spider lying in wait. But this appearance is not just nature's eccentricity, it's a calculated strategy. The spider orchid doesn't just look like an arachnid, it acts like one. Its form, its markings, even its arrangement suggest it is ready to pounce on prey. This visual deception is aimed at a very specific pollinator, spider hunting wasps. These wasps, which seek out real spiders to paralyze and use as food for their larvae, fall into the trap. Spotting the familiar shape among the vegetation, they swoop in to attack, only to find an orchid with a reproductive system primed to dust them with pollen. In their confusion, the wasps make contact with the pollen structures, picking up the grains and carrying them to the next flower, unknowingly completing the cycle. This mechanism is so specific that only certain wasp species can be fooled. But it is precisely this level of precision that has made Brassia an icon of plant evolution. It is beauty and trap, camouflage and function. And while some may find its appearance unsettling, others see it as a living masterpiece. A flower that proves in nature, even what looks dangerous can be a delicate wonder. 13. Bird of paradise. Orchid, Stenoglottis species. Across the vast and varied landscapes of southern Africa, where nature displays its creativity without limits, blooms an orchid that seems to borrow the beauty and exoticism of the continent's most dazzling birds. This is the bird of paradise orchid, belonging to the genus Stenoglottis, a true feast for the senses. What makes this orchid unique is its ability to mimic the plumage of the birds of paradise, those legendary creatures known for their vibrant colors and graceful movements. Some Stenoglottis varieties bear flowers in vivid reds, oranges, yellows, and greens, with patterns and textures that resemble the shimmering feathers of these birds, as though each blossom were a tiny feathered artwork suspended in the air. But the bird of paradise orchid doesn't just captivate with beauty, it is also a master of adaptation. Its form and colors can vary greatly depending on the altitude and environment in which it grows. In lowlands, its blooms tend to be larger and more saturated in color, while at higher elevations, they are smaller and softer in tone, reflecting the landscape around them. This phenomenon demonstrates how nature fine-tunes every detail to maximize survival and pollination. The variations help attract different pollinators found at different altitudes, ensuring that these orchids continue to reproduce and fill southern Africa with life. On top of that, the flowers give off a delicate, pleasant fragrance that enhances their visual charm and draws the right insects closer. They are a perfect example of how color, shape, and scent together can turn a simple flower into a natural spectacle. The bird of paradise orchid is, without doubt, a living jewel that reminds us of nature's boundless inventiveness and its ability to fuse beauty and function into a single being. 14. Dragon's mouth orchid, Arethusa bulbosa. In the swamps and wetlands of North America, where water mingles with the earth in a delicate balance, grows an orchid that seems plucked from a fantasy tale. Its scientific name is Arethusa bulbosa, but it's better known as the dragon's mouth orchid. And it's not hard to see why. Its wide, curved, open petals look like a gaping mouth, ready to devour anything that comes close. This flower, glowing in shades of pink or purple, stands out against the dark, swampy greenery of its habitat. Its commanding appearance contrasts with the fragility of growing in such demanding conditions. The dragon's mouth orchid is no common plant, nor is it easy to find. It thrives in acidic bogs, places where few organisms can survive, making it extremely rare and valuable to botanists. But its challenges don't end in the wild. Cultivating it is a true test, even for experts. It requires very specific soils, constant humidity, and a perfect balance of shade and light. These strict needs have earned Arethusa bulbosa a reputation as a botanical treasure, a jewel that few manage to preserve outside its natural habitat. Beyond its unique form and demanding environment, this orchid also symbolizes resilience and adaptation. To bloom in acidic swamps is proof of the hidden strength delicate flowers can possess. Each time a dragon's mouth opens in the wild, it is a small miracle, a celebration of life in its most unexpected forms. Its presence invites us to look beyond the obvious and to value beauty that arises in the most unlikely of places. 15. Chocolate orchid, Oncidium sherry baby. In the world of orchids, few combinations are as irresistible as that offered by Oncidium sherry baby, popularly known as the chocolate orchid. At first glance, it appears to be a delicate and elegant flower, with small petals in shades of brown and yellow reminiscent of caramel. But what truly makes it a star is its fragrance. An intense, sweet, and rich aroma that evokes the purest, most exquisite chocolate. This orchid is a carefully cultivated hybrid, designed not only to enhance its visual beauty, but also to emphasize its unforgettable scent. Its perfume is released most strongly in the late afternoon and evening, filling the air with an essence that feels as though it drifts straight from an artisanal chocolatier. It's impossible to resist leaning closer, letting that fragrance wrap around you, stirring warm and comforting sensations. For this reason, Sherry Baby has become an absolute favorite in gardens, greenhouses, and private collections worldwide, not only for its exotic and delicate appearance, but also for that sensory quality that transforms any space into something cozy and enchanting. And unlike many rare orchids, its care is relatively simple for those who understand its needs. Bright indirect light, moderate humidity, and stable temperatures. With the right conditions, it can bloom multiple times a year, offering its fragrance again and again. This orchid proves that nature can surprise us, not only with forms and colors, but also with aromas that awaken memories and deep emotions. The chocolate orchid is truly a gift for both the eyes and the nose, a perfect fusion of elegance and pleasure.